It's testing season, and that can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. In today's video, I wanted to share with you some ways to prepare your students that are beyond just the reviewing all the things you've taught all year long. Welcome back, I'm Rachel Vincent, and on this channel, I share simple and practical tips that help you have an effective and efficient running classroom. So one of the things I do to help prepare my students is I teach testing as a genre. So essentially, I talk to my students how the way we read a test is differently than the way we read nonfiction and fiction and all the other different genres that we've talked about all year long. We talk about how sometimes the authors who write a test are trying to, we say, trick you into figuring out if you're reading carefully or if you're paying attention. This is when we talk about how some questions are designed to help for us to look back in the text, whereas sometimes they want us to infer and make choices based on what we already know about things and our background knowledge. We essentially just go through and talk about how sometimes we are given questions that are the not questions, to where the word not shows up or opposite, and the answer we're looking is different than the example that they give us. And basically just teaching how to read and take a test. Another thing I like to do with my students is to come up with strategies of what to do while they're taking the test. This test is so different than any other test that they take in our classrooms. They are used to being able to ask for help. They're used to being able to use resources around the room to help them. And then all of a sudden they're given this state test where they can ask for help. Sometimes tests are timed. All of our anchor charts and things have to be taken off the wall or covered. And so it is a completely different test than they're used to taking. So we go through and talk about what are some things we can do when we are stuck on a problem or question. What are some things that we can do when we feel frustrated, when we're tired of staring at a screen or the paper? How can we refocus ourselves when we are halfway through the test and we still have a while to go? We go through and talk about different strategies they can use. We create an anchor chart and we keep it up so that students can reference it while we are reviewing for the test. So often when we get to the review part of getting ready for state testing, as educators, we look at data that we've been collecting all year, and we tend to focus on the things that the students don't know yet. But one of the things that I think is really beneficial is to showcase what your students have learned and have mastered. So many times I will stick anchor charts up around the room with the different skills or strands that we have learned over the course of the year, and I allow students to show what we have learned about each of those areas. This is really helpful for students when they hear that the end of the year test is going to cover everything they have learned all year. That can be overwhelming to think about. But then when you showcase what they've already learned and what they remember, it doesn't quite feel as daunting. And you can remind them of all the amazing things they've learned, and now it's their time to show off on this test. Another fun way to sort of encourage your students to take their time and try their best is to create a pledge that your students will all sign and agree to, and you could say it before the morning of before you're testing, but just something to sort of build that camaraderie around, we're all taking this test together, we're gonna do our best, we're going to show everything that we've learned all year and really show off. Even when the test can sometimes feel frustrating, we have the capability to be in control and really just let ourselves shine on this test. Usually 2 or 3 weeks before the test, we have finished all of our new learning, and this tends to be the time when I do the testing as a genre unit, and we're just reviewing all of those things leading up to the test. So I don't want students to check out and no longer pay attention and think that because we're done with the new learning that there's no point of paying attention anymore. So I often use those 2 or 3 weeks to do some sort of theme as we're reviewing for our test. So one year my whole grade level did a race car theme. We decorated our hallway and all of our review had to do with racing and cars, and it was a whole lot of fun. Now, it was a lot of work, and thankfully I had my teammates to help me. So if you have the ability to work with people, it makes doing this sort of transformation a little bit easier. I've also seen doing a test prep carnival where you turn your room into like a circus and have different carnival games. You can have students review, play games, different things like that, and have it all themed around some sort of transformation. This year I'm going a little bit easier as far as I'm not doing any big decorations or anything, but we are doing what I'm calling the Great Space Race. Our hallway does have a theme this year, which is a space theme. Each hallway on our school had a different theme, and so we have been decorated all year long for a space theme, and so I just decided to go with it. And essentially what is going to happen is during those few weeks, students are going to earn points. They're divided into different teams, and each team is one of the 8 planets, and they're going to earn points for answering questions right, participating, remembering to return important papers, for behavior, and we're just going to sort of do it all. And as we're reviewing, we're not going to necessarily have space-themed review questions. We're just going to be using our normal review, different task cards, different passages, and sample questions pulled from our state test, but all of our review games are going to be space themed. So I know that state testing can be stressful, but it is important that we prepare our students not just academically, but that they understand test taking skills and strategies of how to handle some of that stress. We don't want to make our students anxious. We want them calm and understanding, and by preparing them on how to read a test, how tests are read differently, how to deal when you get to a difficult problem or you're stuck on a problem, different strategies, all of that is beneficial to helping students do well on the end of the year test. If you want some more game ideas that will help your students review at the end of the year, that are not necessarily theme related, that can go with any kind of activity or game, no theme required, then check out the video that's on your screen now, and I will share 6 easy games that you can play with your students no matter the content. I'll see you over there.